doing one of my favorite things of reading. Took the long walk. Had to tell myself, all you've got to do is take the extra 10 to 15 minutes of walking, because you know you will be happy. That's something I have to remember, that line from the book. Then I did that, and then I was happy. So, something that, because it was the happiness thing. Because the ABBA and Preach, I believe it was ABBA, when he made a video because of his closeness with Destiny, and then this thing of how this has become now this quote people cited of Destiny. He believes you should have sort of maximum fun. And ABBA and Preach kind of taking on the red pill. They don't realize that an aspect of the red pill was a rejection of that type of thinking that really has come out of the economic boon of really the Reagan era. The 60s boom with young people by the 70s that had its turn back, you could see all over the modern world. If you are aware of fashion and style, you could look back and be like, here was 1959 through about 65. Here's 65, 66 through the 70s. You start to see a major change in the availability of just cash, that people could have a job that they could go to the high street in London to get themselves Burberry or something like that. Well, there was a period where you have that as like relatively common, and then you have this period of time where that's over, and the United States had its own thing where in the 70s it had its own issues of a short depression, stagflation, etc. The thing that I was thinking about was that this rejection of the hedonistic 90s that come out of the 80s, that there's just all this extra money. There's suddenly an availability of work because it's easier to start a business. A wide variety of technologies had gotten cheaper. People could start, the restaurant that they always wanted. They could have a French bakery. A normal person could start a French bakery, just being somebody that liked French food. And so the 80s, you start getting all this slow rise of delicacies. By the time you get to the early 90s, the idea of, like, say, one of the industry places, the San Francisco, California Church and Market, people who know it, No Name Sushi. The sushi place that had no sign. Now, if you know it, you know it. And it was the spot. It was one of the greatest spots in San Francisco for, like, at least a decade. The price that you got sushi there and the quality was unbelievable. And so the boon, what made us happy. See, the millennials were the ones who started making me wonder, what's up with you kids? What's going on with you guys? You guys have kind of had everything. Why do you act like this? Why do you like shit like that? But once I started to really listen to them, one of the things I picked up on is how they were so over. How the boomers and Gen Xers just had so much fucking fun. Oh, we were partying, we were eating sushi, and then we smoked a blunt, then we went to the rave. And it's understandable that, like, their generation was like, that's great, you guys had fun, but now what happens to me now? What happens to my generation now that you guys had all your fun? That's a very valid critique of us. What about us kids? So you then get this bizarre thing of people like Destiny, the late millennial, maybe early Gen Z, but I think he's technically a late millennial, that it's people who take who party on psychiatric drugs, like that kind of generation of people. That young people were telling me about this. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like, kids would have, like, these prescribed brain drugs, and, like, people would take their drugs, crush them up, and snort them. And everybody would get, like, fucked up. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's insane. And he goes, I know, right? But then I'm sitting there going, but that's what you do when you're a kid. You don't conceive of what a bad idea that is. You haven't experienced it yet. You haven't experienced the fear of, oh my God, I think I took something that might fucking kill me. So, but they felt happiness. That's a part of the disturbing aspect of it. That's the part that, and when I'm hearing the story, I'm disturbed by. That made you feel happiness. So the red pill guards against happiness, Abba. You, I believe, are a father. Children will get ecstatic and start just exploding, like their body is just like popping like popcorn in every direction, and that you literally have to like almost stop them from being so ecstatically happy that they just run themselves headlong into a wall. Children will be so ecstatically happy over a new type of food or something that they've experienced that you got to stop them from eating it, because they just don't understand. Like, you can't just keep eating that. You can't just keep drinking that. But they're feeling such happiness, Abba. And there's a part of this kind of era of time that it's like, I don't want to crush their sense of happiness. It's wrong in some way. We've gained this in society. Don't crush their happiness, though. But that's the issue. It does have to be controlled, doesn't it? Now we're all older, Abba, and we've seen what will happen. You have to control happiness to some degree, or it'll consume the person. They'll want not but that merriness, that mirth, that if it could just feel like that one more time. One more time. There's some things that we could write off as adults and say, hey, everybody has a beer now and then. Another slice of cake. Well, I haven't had cake in a while. It becomes, you don't have time for idle pleasures. You become too busy trying to create something. Sometimes it's by force. You're a father. You have to create food. You have to create shelter. You have to create happy for your kids. You have to create smiley, happy feeling for kid and mommy. So with Destiny, there's only so far I really want to take this, because I don't want, if I start saying certain things, will they happen? Because really, a part of me doesn't want to be the person who curses a man. Because when will it happen to turn back upon me? Because there's something about human desire that scares us when we see it consume a man and seem to have almost a supernaturally negative effect on the people around him. Yeah. That was just something that was coming up in my mind about happiness. Because happiness is fickle. Pleasure is fickle. Like the human heart. Yeah. You, Abbott and Preach, you guys got some pretty good shows, but it's you don't get the whole red pill thing. It was, I think it was because of the kind of people I grew up around that it made a lot of sense to me. And kind of my mentor in my early adult years, who had a tough life. He was a tough guy. So he, every once in a while, would kind of rattle my cage, make me understand how bourgeois and soft and first world my thinking really was. Now it's like, yeah, that sounds great to you, because you don't really have to worry about much. I'm like, ooh. And you know what's the real fucking deal in this world? And I'm like, oh no, okay. Crazy motherfuckers who do crazy shit to people, and that was because that was his world, was crazy motherfuckers who did crazy shit to people. And it made me eventually very thankful that I had heeded his wisdom, because then when craziness arrived, I was more than ready. Pure blood. Later.